This is Lance from BestKidSolutions.com, live and direct from the playroom since it has the absolutely best lighting. So I thought, hey, this is a parenting and teaching channel. Why not just keep it real? So I figured there's no reason to hide the toys. I might as well just make what's around me work. And that in itself is a great point for parents and teachers in general. And that's what this channel is all about. Now, if you're new to the channel, I've been an educator for over 20 years. My amazing wife is a special needs teacher. We have two beautiful daughters, as you can see from the surroundings here. And I'm dedicated to helping the most important people on this planet. And I'm talking about kids, parents, and teachers. Now, I really would love today's video to be one part motivational and one part informational on the topic of parenting. I am so passionate about this because as a school teacher, I see the power of amazing parenting and what it can achieve, but I unfortunately see the opposite as well. I truly believe that great parenting and teaching is what's going to help change our world for the better. But I think as parents, we get so wrapped up in the hustle and bustle of our lives, trying to balance a checkbook, trying to get our kids to school, then trying to hurry up and get ourselves to work on time, making dinner, going to sports, finishing homework, taking baths, and of course then trying to find time to get them to bed with the least amount of drama as possible. Now please understand, I completely get it. It can be overwhelming at times, and I am right there with you. What we as parents need to remember that this is the most important time in our lives and our child's life as well. There's nothing more important than what we're doing right now with our kids, especially if your kids are younger. Children learn almost all of their interpersonal skills through modeling. How they handle frustration, a fight, or how to solve problems in general are learned from watching the grown-ups in their life. Now, what makes this scary is if you're not around as much as you'd like, who are they watching and whose actions are they really modeling? Now listen, I completely understand how socioeconomics has completely changed society, and many times that requires almost everyone to be in a two-income family, and surviving in parenting is not easy. And that's not even talking about single parents. Single parents can be so difficult, and so overwhelming. What I'm trying to convey here is that I understand that the parenting struggle is real, and that is why this topic is so important. It's going to seem like it's going to take forever for your toddler to actually eat a real meal, your preschooler to go to bed on time, your preteen to finish their homework without getting into a fight about it, and getting your teenager not to go past their curfew will seem impossible. But it will happen, but it takes coming up with a plan right now. My friend, time flies. It really is just a snap of the fingers and they're off and they're an adult. Like in a post I recently put on Instagram, it said, you can't take back the words after it's said, time after it's gone, and the child after they're grown. It is so true. The time you put in now, in the beginning with your children, will determine the results you get back in the end. Now everyone talks about their legacy and what they're going to leave for their family in the future, but what people don't realize is that you are the legacy for your children. How you model, teach, reward, discipline, and love your child is who they will be. You will live forever in how your children relate and communicate with the world around them. You are the most important person in their life, and you will single-handedly shape who they will eventually become. Guys, now is the time to set up a foundation of consistency and love and make it a priority for your life and your child's life as well. Now, I know you're like me. You would do anything to ensure that your little one, no matter how big they are now, are taken care of. And it just takes a second. Just a second to put your child, the most important thing in your life, in your whole world, back on top of your to-do list. An amazing gift has been put in your life, and you have the ability to guide them toward amazing things. Now listen, I know what you're thinking. Okay, Lance, that's great. I'm with you. I get what you're saying. So what do I do now? Well, I could talk about this subject forever because it's so important to me, because I see how it all plays out in the classroom and, of course, in my own life. But for time's sake, I'm going to break down two very important points that are reoccurring in all the research that I've done on the topic, and of course seen through my own experiences. Number one, behavior is communication. Now this and all portions of this information, of course, are all dependent upon the context of your situation and of course how old your child is. But many times misbehavior is the child not knowing how to handle certain situations. Children use misbehavior to teach themselves what are safe, what are appropriate, and how to communicate to get their needs met. Now, a young child might run into the street not knowing the dangers, but when the adult frantically tells them to stop and that it's unsafe, they've just learned a very important lesson. If they knew how to handle the situation in the beginning, there probably wouldn't be a problem. When misbehavior occurs, this is the perfect time to teach your child a better way to handle a situation, or even how to handle a problem in general. Let me give you a basic example. So a toddler wants their siblings' attention. So rather than going over and saying hi or showing them a toy or something, they go over and pinch their brother and sister. We've all seen this. Our first instinct is to automatically go straight into disciplining the child for pinching. And rightfully so, but if that's where the information stops, you're missing a great opportunity to teach your child how to better get someone's attention, which is the original intention. By teaching your child how to properly get someone's attention, you might actually stop the behavior. But just by addressing the pinching, they may realize that pinching is not nice, but they still don't know what to do when they want their siblings' attention. The next opportunity they have, they may hit or push, and the cycle continues because they haven't figured out the problem or how to handle it. Now, this isn't just for little ones. Parents shouldn't just assume that their children's behaviors are done purposely with disrespect in mind. Now, what's interesting is that scientists can predict a child's behavior based on their age. Misbehavior is a healthy part of our children's development, which makes teaching the first reaction to misbehavior even more important. Make sure they know how to handle the situation more appropriately, and when you dismiss the idea, that at least in the beginning, that they're not deliberately trying to disrespect you or to do something inappropriate on purpose, this will help you handle the situation with less emotion and focus on the teaching, which is a better way to handle the situation. The idea of teaching before disciplining has been a huge help both at home with my daughters and in the classroom. When misbehavior happens and the hair on the back of my neck starts to stand up, and I know we've all been there, I stop. I remember that my daughters or my students may need some more help on ways to handle the situation a little bit better, and I go into a calm teaching mode and help them rather than getting into a more angry, you did this on purpose mode, which usually never turns out very well. Now, studies have shown that children need time to comprehend and process all the choices that they have to make. I can't even imagine all the little things that are going on in their heads, the decisions and things they have to deal with. So remember, they may not get it right away. You're going to have to repeat the lessons and the strategies a few times, but eventually you'll notice one day, one amazing day, that your child will actually use those strategies and handle the situation better. And at the very least, you're going to give them the skills, the life skills, to help them react to an environment in a better way and teach them how to handle their problems appropriately. Okay, now that sounds nice and all right, but what about the question everybody's been thinking about? So what happens when they know how to handle the situation appropriately, but they deliberately choose to handle it incorrectly for their own benefit? We have all seen this, we've all been there. That leads us to the second point, which is consistency and boundaries. It is so important to set up boundaries and be consistent. It seems counterintuitive, but children actually feel safer when they have proper boundaries and structures around them. Now, when I say boundaries, I mean loving and well thought out limits that are placed on the child so that they know when they've gone too far or continuing outside the boundaries is actually unsafe. When a child has gone past those limits, it is so crucial to set up consistent consequences. But there is one thing for certain. If there is even a 1% chance that you will cave on these boundaries and or consequences that you have set for your child, they will automatically test them at every single point that you can think of until they are 100% sure that you are consistent and that you are not going to cave and your boundaries are not going to crumble around them. Now, I see this quite a bit in teaching and from students as well. Now, I see teachers that aren't consistent with their procedures and boundaries, and then they wonder why little Johnny isn't concerned with their directions. I see it in kids too. When a child comes from a home where there aren't proper boundaries, they're pretty used to getting their way and what they want. And when the child has a teacher with solid boundaries and procedures, it can be a bit of a shock to the student. Unfortunately, there's an adjustment period that the child is going to need to go through, and they're going to have to change their ways, or they usually won't be successful until they do. Now, what I'm sure you notice here is that it's not really the child's fault in this example. The child is just reacting to the environment that they've been taught to live in by the parents. If the child whines, ignores, or becomes irate at home and gets what they want, why would they think it's any different at school? This, my friends, is another extremely important reason why we must make parenting our priority, our top priority, and put the time in the beginning. A student reacts to the environment according to what is shown to them by the adults in their life. Guys, as parents, if we're not setting up consistent boundaries or limits at home, we are 100% hurting our children in school. And we could be setting them up for failure in the long run. And I unfortunately see this every day. Guys, I get it. It's not easy. We work extremely hard for our children. Many people work late. Some people work 2 and 3 jobs to put food on the table. They don't want to spend their 2 hours that they see their kids each day during the week squabbling over homework or dessert. And sometimes we have the time, but it just feels like it's going to take too much time, effort, and energy. But these are the times that are really the pinnacle of parenting. This is the time where you are going to make your child successful. The time you spend with your child during these exhausting times, explaining a better way to handle certain situations or setting up appropriate boundaries, will pay huge dividends in the future. This one decision that you make could be the determining factor between a successful life for your child or a life of disappointment and pain. Guys, you are your child's best hope for success. And with a little dedication and probably a couple extra cups of coffee, you're going to give them a chance to live a well-rounded life and give them the skills to go after their passions and their dreams. Now, when it's all said and done, as parents, that's really all we want for our kids. We want them to be happy and successful on their terms. As I said before, I 100% believe that in the big picture, kids, parents, and teachers are the main force that are going to help make this world a better place. And the more help they get from us, the faster it'll be. My friends, I hope this helped. If you did, please hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button. Hit all the buttons that you can, because we would love for you to get this out to as many people as possible. We want to help as many people as possible because it's so important to us to make sure that that happens. Guys, please leave comments. Is there something that you have done in your family that's been extremely helpful? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Are there something that's more important in your opinion? We would love to hear your comments below. We really would. Once again, it's all about interaction and helping each other do the best thing that we can for our children. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Once again, please comment below. Please share to as many people as you can, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.